All right, what's going on, y'all? Thank y'all for joining me tonight. The chat is already on fire. I love it. Julie Griffin is in the house. Julie, it's been a while since you've been able to show up. Thanks for dropping in. Brian Berman is here. Melissa Houston is here. Tanya Bugby. Who is that? That is Amber Williams. We got somebody from Nausheen side from Malaysia. Lukesh, good to see you, man. Yolanda Chin. Who else was here? I saw Brittany Linhart. Yep, there she is. Who else was here? Melissa Houston. Man, so many people already. Thank y'all for dropping in. What do we want to talk about first? Rachel Fox, how are you, ma'am? Sorry, excuse me while I squirrel out on all these comments that are rolling in faster than I can keep up with them. Hey, Rob. Got a lot of people tuning in from Nausheen's side, too. Hey, Chastity. Chastity's on Nausheen's side. Man, so many people. I can't keep up with them. Love it. All right. So thank y'all for joining us. I've been talking about it a little bit. New merch is in the store. We got the Be Weird collection. And then I don't know if y'all will be able to see it. I'm single. Say hi. Both of those designs are in the store right now. So y'all go check it out. They're kind of both of them making fun of myself, or the Be Single Say Hi. I'm kind of making fun of myself because I'm kind of introverted, getting back into the dating world. And it's like, if you're introverted and trying to date again, it can be a little uncomfortable. So I did that to kind of poke fun at me. Yeah, squirrel, Melissa, I know it. What else? Yeah, if you want to get some merch, hit productions.live, click the merch tab. All kinds of cool stuff in the store, y'all. Mavens of Merch has really gone all out and making sure we had a good selection of stuff. The quality of the items in there is amazing. Yeah, that. Yeah, I know. Be weird. Anything less than weird is boring. That's what I always say. Yep, I have the Be Weird sticker on my laptop too, Tanya. I just put it on there Saturday. So, yeah. What else? I think that's all the housekeeping stuff I have. So I'm not going to waste any more time. My guest tonight, if y'all don't know Nausheen, I don't know how you're even doing LinkedIn right, because she's all over the place with some just really badass videos, giving really actionable tips you can use, not some like crazy, off the wall, high production stuff, just tips and tricks to make you look and sound better on camera and when you're speaking in real life. So I'm going to bring Nausheen Chin out. Nausheen.
Hello.
How are you
Hi,
doing?
Chris. I'm
Thank
doing
you for being here.
great. Thank you so much for having me. And hi, guys.
You have a lot of people tuning in from your side.
That's because they're awesome. I love
They
them
are
all.
awesome.
Thank
I
you
love
so
it.
much.
Yeah, I love it. It just goes to show what kind of network you have. Hey, Dusty Rose.
Oh, thank you. And yours too. It's like you're doing this thing, and I was thinking it's like the bride and groom side, oh, this is from the bride side and this is from the groom side. And I haven't seen any other of my hosts doing that. Oh, this is from Nausheen's side. Oh, these are my friends. They can mingle. They can get to know each other.
Mingle. It just shows up in the dashboard you can see it. It's kind of purple and it says paired. Usually when my guest pairs, there's a few people that show up. Your network is like coming out in force going, that's my girl. I'm going to support her. I love it. Naomi White.
Thank you, guys.
You were up late, ma'am. It's like 2 in the morning there. Something like that. And you're joining us from the future too, right?
Yes, I'm always in the future. About I don't know how many years. It's a real problem. Even in life, I'm always thinking of the next step, and it's a challenge for me to really live in the moment. So sorry, I went deep there for no reason, but it is a problem. It's a thing.
1 a.m. Yeah, 1 a.m.
Yes.
So it's like 9 o'clock there, 9 a.m. there. Yeah. So you are 14 hours ahead of me. Yeah. So what's it like on Tuesday morning?
What will your
Stay
future
hold
be
for
like
us. Yeah.
in 14 hours? Well, it's bright and sunny here in the south of China, so can't complain. The weather is always good. It's one of the reasons why we've lived here for so long. And
Hmm.
yeah, it's great. It doesn't snow. We never get the brunt of winter, but
Yeah.
it's yeah, not too bad.
Awesome. So tell us, for people that don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about kind of your background, um, where you came from, how you got started, all that kind of stuff.
That's a lot. So I'm Nausheen. Just tell us everything, Nausheen.
Yeah, everything. Just word
condense
dump all of a sudden. Just go.
condense your life story in 30 seconds. So
Once upon a
I'm
time, long,
Nausheen.
long ago, in a land far, far away.
It was long ago. It was 39 years ago. So you were just talking about, getting back into dating. And did you say your
Yeah,
40s?
42. Yeah,
Yeah. So we're the same age. You're the magical
yeah.
age, Chris.
Am I?
42 is the answer. It's the answer to life, the universe, and everything.
Oh, what is that
That's
off
from the
of?
that's from the
Oh,
Hitchhiker's Guide to the
it is
Galaxy.
the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. That's right. I was going, oh, I know that. I know that.
Yes. Yes, you're at the
Yes.
magical age. So
Yes.
I'm Nausheen. I coach people to speak better. That's literally what I do. That's what I do all the time, full time. I love it. I started off with this deep love for public speaking. That annoying kid who always gets up on stage at family reunions and recites the most boring poem. So I was that annoying kid. I have loved being in the limelight, performing for people ever since I can remember.
Yeah.
But it took me a very long time to realize that that was my calling in life. I
Hmm.
took many, many detours along the way. I
Hmm.
was at Procter and Gamble, Fortune 50 company for 5
Yep.
years doing PR and marketing. I got to my lovely late quarter life crisis where I broke away from it and did nothing for a while. I just traveled around like a hippie, not really caring about the world or society, and stumbled into filmmaking through improv and theater and stand up comedy. There was a time when we were writing and performing for this crappy little late night TV show and doing awful at it. But it led me to something where I realized I like this camera stuff. I like this video, film, camera stuff. Let me do more of that. I ended
Yeah.
up in New York studying
Okay.
media at grad school. That was amazing. Living in the US was amazing. It was, I think at heart, I'm an American, which is just a bizarre thing to say because now I'm French, Pakistani, but at heart, I feel American. And I think I can only explain it to, I almost want to say a fellow American who might, I don't know, because
So
it
you're
was never
so I didn't
weird.
know you were I didn't know you were French. I knew you spoke French, but
I
are you
just
just
became
claiming to be French?
French. Oh
Just
no, no,
became
no.
French.
It's like I was claiming to be American. No, no, the French thing is real. I'm actually French.
Okay.
I just
Okay.
became French last year. That was a
Okay.
whole labor of love. So so Nausheen becomes a filmmaker from after graduate school and she moves to China because my husband got a job here and I said, I can make films anywhere. And we started a small video production company where we made commercials for Asian clients looking to expand to Western markets and did that for 7 years. So bootstrapped this startup, got to $1 million in revenue, and
Nice.
almost burned out.
Yeah.
And this was in 2020 when I realized I can't do it anymore because I was, working 18-hour days, sometimes
Hmm.
22-hour days, taking care
Hmm.
of my small team and had no time to take care of myself. And also, along the way, I realized I'm not really a filmmaker. What I love doing is helping people express themselves on camera.
Mm,
I was working with both my actors as well as the non professional talent, like CEOs who were speaking on camera for the first time.
mm-hmm,
And I was helping them just express who they really were with
mm-hmm.
ease. And I realized that came kind of naturally to me. Not really naturally because I'd been doing it for so long in so many different ways,
Right.
but it doesn't come naturally or easily to a lot of people. And I realized that's really where my superpower is, and that's where I really need to focus on. And bless my husband, he's the one who gave me the push in that direction, where he literally told me one evening, like, Nausheen, you're so unhappy, why don't you try speaking for a living? So I was like, what? Who's gonna pay me for that? But it turns out it is something that people are interested in.
Yeah, and I can see where you would have to, like, if you're making films for, especially getting CEOs on there who, may or may not be stuffy, really business-like
Mhm.
types, and having to coach them to have a personality on camera and to be, I don't even know the right word, whatever, you know what I'm talking about. To have to
Yeah.
coach them on how to have a presence on film, on on-screen presence. Um,
Mhm.
I can see where you would have to do that because they're not used to doing that kind of stuff. It's all facts and numbers and all that kind of thing. So I bet that really did kind of just open the door for you to launch into what you really do.
Yeah, because when you're within the company, you're talking to your team. You don't necessarily need to be that charismatic or outgoing or friendly. It's great if you can be, because it would make you a better leader. But for a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people, it's kind of just like matter of fact, everyday communication. Do this, don't do that. That was good. That
Mm-hmm.
wasn't good. Okay, let's go.
Right.
But when you're presenting yourself as a representative of this company to the outside
Mm-hmm.
world, you have to make that extra effort. You have to bring the charisma, bring the energy, and bring more of yourself. You have to almost
Yep.
make an effort to be more of yourself. And that is just doesn't come naturally for a lot of people, because you've kind of gotten used to this muted, lower energy, lower effort making version of you, because you're putting all your effort in actually doing the work and getting the results, but you don't realize this is the actual work.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I like what Shri said.
Aw,
Say that 10 times fast.
thank
Shri
you,
said.
Shri.
Yeah.
Shri is an amazing person, and she's a great video producer. And I believe you
Oh
worked
yeah.
with her too, right?
A little bit. I'm attending her workshop Wednesday because I do a lot of live streams.
Mhm.
Video editing is not my thing, and I'm not real
Mm.
great at it. So I'm like super stoked to have her show me how to do some stuff. But she's also going to be presenting at my boot camp tomorrow night, so we're kind of collabing on that.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yep. I'm excited for it. So you found your passion. Your husband basically said, "Go, do your thing." What next?
What next? So, right now, I'm focusing on two major things. One is working with people who want to build their personal brand. Now, these people could be entrepreneurs, founders, or like I've been used to working with CEOs of their own companies. So, working with them to create their brands through
Mm-hmm.
speaking, and speaking well, speaking with high
Mm-hmm.
impact, so that every time they speak, A, they're understood, B, they make an impression, and C, they're remembered. And if you can
Mm-hmm.
hit all three things, for sure, you're going to build that strong personal brand. You're going to have that strong presence wherever you go, whichever platform you're speaking on, and you're going to build your business, because that connection is the really beauty of this, because
Right.
that's why we do
Right.
it. We want to build our business. We want to attract more clients, more like-minded people, people that will trust us more because they're seeing you. They know this is what
Mm-hmm.
you're about. There's very little to hide behind when you're on video, and that's also, of course, what's so scary, because you
Right.
can't just write these words and take your time and edit them 10 different times. even if you're editing your video, it's just at there's a point where you do feel extremely vulnerable,
Mm-hmm.
extremely naked. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
here, this is me, I'm talking, this is how I am in real life. So it
Right.
decreases, the boundaries and the barriers between you and whoever is listening and watching. And that's the real beauty, the power,
Mm-hmm.
and the intimidation of video.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And that's actually one of the things I love about live streaming is, I'm comfortable at
Mm,
it now. There's still sometimes I'm a little, you just kind of get the nerves or whatever, but it
mhm.
shows that unedited. So you
Yeah.
can't go back and edit out the parts where you mess up or you freeze a little bit, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, like it's
It really
done.
shows you as a real live human being.
Yeah, yeah,
I
that's
love it.
true. Lives are they're awesome. I love that we're doing more and more lives, that people are doing I'm just watching more and more lives here
Hmm.
on YouTube, on Twitch. It's it's so immediate. It's extremely like, yeah, I'm here, this is me. I'm
Yeah.
you can tell I'm not faking it, or even if I
Right.
am, how long can I really keep that up for?
Right. Exactly. So tell us, where in the timeline, like from the time you left the video production business, or maybe it was before then, when did you start doing public speaking, TEDx stage, all that kind of stuff?
The first time that I spoke in public was probably when I was 23, 24,
Okay.
and I was delivering these trainings and presentations for communication skills. So when I got to P&G, of course, I had my full-time role as doing PR and marketing. But as soon as I could, I got certified as a P&G trainer. I didn't even know why I was doing it at the time. I just knew I was
Hmm.
so excited, and they make you wait. They don't just let anyone become a trainer. So you have to be in the company for at least 2 years, and then you qualify, and then they see if you're suited to become a trainer. So
Hmm.
I did my 2 years, and the first thing I said to my manager was, I want to be a trainer. And they trained me, and I started delivering these trainings, and it was amazing.
Hmm.
I fell in love with the art of delivering a message live in
Hmm.
person to an audience. I
Hmm.
was always one of those people who sometimes struggled in one on one conversations, but you put me in front of an audience and I'm in my element. And I love it. I just love being able to have those conversations with people through their eyes, through their
Hmm.
expressions, through their through their nods. And then, of course, building in actual engagement through their responses to my questions. So
Hmm.
that was the first time in my early 20s. And since then, I think I've tried to speak on every single stage I could find. And again, I wouldn't have been 2 years ago, Chris, I wouldn't have been able to tell you why. It was just something I did. And my husband saw it, in the years that we've been married. And I was just telling him, yeah, I'm off to this storytelling event. I got to tell the story. Yeah, actually, I'm going to be hosting this little indie film exhibition because it's so cool. Oh, I'm doing this networking event and it's for all these filmmakers. And I
Hmm.
would just keep doing it without really knowing why, except that I just got so much pleasure out of it. I became one of the organizers and then eventually a director for this little community called Startup Grind. I say little, but it has like chapters all over the world. It's from originally from Silicon Valley, and we literally just get together and organize and host these events for the startup community. And again, I was just doing it, all of this stuff without getting paid, just because I loved it. So
Hmm.
all of that fed into eventually my coaching work and realizing that this is not just something I love doing, but I want to help other people
Hmm.
feel what it's like to be on stage and to be having those conversations with 20 or 200 or 2,000 people at the same time. And the TEDx, of course, came later strategically as part of my coaching work because I wanted to be more visible, and I now wanted to seek bigger and bigger stages because for the last 17 years, I was just speaking everywhere I could find. And that was,
Hmm.
it wasn't for business, it was just for me.
Mm-hmm.
And now, of course, I want to do it more as part of my business as well. I'm
Mm-hmm.
actually, so I haven't announced this on LinkedIn, so it might be a Chris Tennessee exclusive. I am working on my third TEDx talk.
What?
And yeah, it's a TEDx youth event, so it's not
Okay.
full-fledged TEDx, but it's still TEDx. And that is happening. The event is happening in March, and I'm just working on the
Nice.
talk right now. Yeah.
Okay. And real quick, I want to touch on two things and then Robert will answer your question. um, excuse me. You said you want to help people to feel what it's like. And I like that you said that, not just teach them how to have an on screen presence, but to feel it, to be in that moment,
Mhm.
to absorb it, to take it all in, to ride that wave, whatever you want to call it. I like that.
Mhm.
Because I think that makes a huge difference. Because versus just getting up there
Mhm.
and smiling and making sure you're making eye contact and you deliver the points well and you tell a funny joke or whatever, but to actually be in that
Yeah.
moment. I love that.
Yes, so much of the work that I do with clients is about that mindset. It's about being fully present in the moment. I
Mm-hmm.
I would not find it fulfilling if all I was doing, like you said, if all I was doing was just, stand like this, smile at the beginning, smile during, smile at the end,
Right.
articulate, enunciate, and there you go, winning
Right.
formula, recipe for
Right.
success.
Right.
It would, and we've seen speakers like that. I'm sure you've seen speakers like that are just on the surface. They're hitting all the right boxes, they're checking the right boxes, but there's no soul. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
seem like they're fully there. And I use another analogy for this. When you're speaking, whether it's on a live event like this or on a video or on stage, you have to leave a little piece of yourself there. When you leave, when you
Mm-hmm.
stop that record button, when you step off that stage, you have to feel like I left a little part of myself. I gave so
Mm-hmm.
much that there is a little piece that everyone has of me that I
Mm-hmm.
gave to that audience. I feel like that every time. I feel like that right
Yeah.
now.
Right.
And if you feel like that, you've done something right. And if
Yeah.
you feel like, oh, that was okay, that was all right, on with my day,
Right.
then you might have done okay, but you haven't been as impactful as you possibly could have
Mm-hmm.
been.
It should almost, I would think, not wear you out, but maybe make you feel tired or have that feeling
Oh,
that
yeah.
you left something there. You know what I mean? Like you did put your
Yeah,
heart and your soul into it.
absolutely. You talk to any performer, talk to a stand up comedian after they've done a set, they're going to be absolutely exhausted mentally,
Mm-hmm.
physically, in every sense of the word because they've been so on. They've just
Mm-hmm.
given so much of themselves on that stage. They haven't held back.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, it takes a lot out of you.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. All right. Robert Berry had a question. What impact has public speaking had on your life personally or professionally?
That's a great question, Robert. Thanks for asking that. I was talking to you a little bit earlier about how I've always been a little bit awkward in one on one conversations. So, very counterintuitively, speaking on stage first and then speaking on camera, but especially speaking on stage, gave me the confidence to then have those one on one conversations from a place of having higher self worth because I trace back my lack of confidence to my lack of self worth, to my low self esteem. But I used every opportunity that I was on stage as a way to tell myself that I did that thing. That was scary. And I still
Mm-hmm.
did it. That's cool. I didn't freeze on that stage. The very
Mm-hmm.
first time that I did my TEDx talk, there was still a part of me that was like, Nausheen, you've never done this before. You've never been on the TEDx stage before. What if you completely freeze? What if this is completely new for you? What if you just stand there and stare blankly at people? And as soon as I did the talk, that voice got silenced. And
Yeah.
I was able to tell that voice, no, I did it. I will not freeze on a stage. That's not me. So doing all these scary things, just like stepping out of your comfort zone, just like
Mhm.
growth, it really gives you that ammunition to arm yourself against those negative voices. And I've used
Mhm.
it very intentionally, especially recently, because I also encourage my friends to do it the same way. A lot of people come to me and they say, I don't have a lot of confidence. I don't know how I can speak on stage or how I can speak on camera.
Mhm.
And we go back to this concept that is now, I think, becoming more and more common, but I think we cannot say it enough, that you get the confidence by doing the thing. You don't have confidence
Yes.
before you do the thing. So you have to take the leap while being scared and feeling like you don't have that confidence. And you take the opportunity when you do it, take that time to reflect and tell yourself that I did it. And why shouldn't I be more confident next time? Why
Mhm.
shouldn't I tell myself that I'm capable of this and so much more?
Yep. I love it. And and that's kind of where the name of the show kind of came from. So I did a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was something I started like way back when I first got on LinkedIn. I do a series of posts, every once in a while. So I did a thing. Some of them were funny, some of them were I actually did something serious, or jumped off the cliff, so to speak, and did that. And it's in that moment, I think. And Tanya had a good idea. Turn that into a hat. Be scared. Where in that fear, in that moment of fear, you just do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Not to be the whole cliche Nike thing, but just do it. You know,
Yeah, yeah. And then reflect on it.
and then
Because
reflect
a
on it
lot of
afterwards.
times,
Yeah.
because you know what we do, right? Our brains are hardwired to remember the bad stuff. It's
Mm-hmm.
evolutionary. We need to remember the times that we did badly so that the next time we don't die if we do as badly.
Right.
So, because we remember all the times we were so embarrassed, all the times we messed up so badly, we have to make an intentional effort to counter that hardwiring and remember the times we did exceptionally well. Because our natural instinct is, oh yeah, I did okay. All right. Okay, great. That's fine. Good job. Okay, move on. Don't let your ego get too inflated. Don't get ahead of yourself. That's fine. You did okay, but whatever. And
Right.
it's really, you have to counter that voice that's minimizing your accomplishments.
Mm-hmm. For real, because that little sucker gets loud sometimes.
Yeah.
um, Julie had something to say about that even before you kind of said it. It was her favorite thing to say to those voices who say I can't do something or shouldn't do something. According to
Mhm.
who? No one. For sure.
Yeah.
So what were your two TEDx talks about? What did you talk on? What did you speak on?
The first the first one was intensely personal. It was the power of breaking your beliefs, where I talk about that time that I was telling you about, my late quarter life crisis, where I literally took a step back from my life. I looked at everything that I believed in, and one by one I broke it. I just broke my belief in everything, in all kinds of systems of thought and society, and in lots of institutions. And I took time to rebuild my belief system in a more intentional way,
Mm-hmm.
because the period, it came from a point of almost out of me being out of control, me feeling completely out of
Mm-hmm.
control of my life. Till that point, so I was 27. Till that point, I had pretty much lived life by the book. I had done everything that you were supposed to do to be successful, to be a good contributing member of society. I had gone to the best schools that I could go to. I had gotten a job at the best company I could get a job at. I got
Mm-hmm.
married when I was for the first time, I got married when I was maybe 23,
Okay.
24, to a nice, stable gentleman. My ex-husband was great. It's just that I wasn't suited for that life. And
Mhm.
it came to a point where I almost felt like I wasn't in control of anything anymore. So I had to break away from everything. So in one year,
Mhm.
the same year, I quit my marriage, I quit my job, I
Wow.
left the country for a while. I stopped believing in everything and all kinds of systems of belief and everything, just to, and at the time I didn't know this is what I was doing, but this is what I was doing, that I was examining everything, and I had to break away from it all to then filter out what I didn't believe in and filter back
Mhm.
in what I did believe in. And eventually
Mhm.
I found my way back to marriage, for example, and I realized,
Mhm.
no, actually I like it. I like monogamy. I like marriage as an institution. It's something I believe in. But now I'm choosing it. I'm not just
Right.
doing it because it's the thing to do. I never really went back to corporate life because I realized, yeah, it was all right, but I'm glad I had that experience. I learned a lot, but maybe I don't want to do it again. So
Right.
that was the first TEDx talk. The second one was more closely connected with my work. So it was about speaking speaking on stage. Conquer your fear through speaking. So not specifically about speaking on stage, but the title was Conquer Your Fear Through Speaking. And the idea was, again, a little counterintuitive. If you're scared of telling your story, more than that, if you don't even believe that you have a story to tell,
Mhm.
if you can find a way to tell your story publicly, the public part is
Mhm.
super important here, to an audience in your own way, finding your community. If you can speak in public and tell your story, then you will be countering that fear, that feeling of being less than, that feeling of who am I to tell my story.
Mhm.
So it was about overcoming the limiting beliefs that we've set up for ourselves. And I hear this so much. I hear this all the time from people who say that, yeah, I could talk about this, but there are all these other people also talking about this. I could talk about this, but my competitor knows so much more, or this person is such an expert. I'm not an expert. Am I an expert? So you have all these doubts about just simply speaking about what you know, or your story,
Mhm.
or your experiences. So it was about overcoming that.
Nice. I like it. And those are both something that you're very passionate about. So I can imagine. I imagine it would be hard to give a TEDx talk unless it's something you are passionate about. But those two
Yeah.
things, especially the first one, was probably so personal for you. Um, and that's a hell of a topic to pick for your first TEDx talk. Something so deeply intimate to your life. Like, what was
Thanks.
that like?
I think I couldn't have done it any other way. I
Yeah, it was like
always
all or
knew that
nothing, right?
that yeah, I always knew that that was the story I had to tell, and it almost didn't even matter that it wasn't directly connected to my business
Mm-hmm.
or anything, because yeah, I think I really couldn't have done it any other way. That is one of the big stories of my life, because I
Mm-hmm.
completely turned my life around in such a short period of time. And now when I look back, I can't really recognize the person that I was before, because she was so different. And I've just done life so differently since then.
Mm-hmm.
So it was great. I think it does make some people uncomfortable, hopefully in a good way. But I got all kinds of feedback and it was fascinating, especially so two very divergent types of feedback. I got amazingly positive feedback from strangers, people that were in the audience. So people actually came up to me after the talk and they said, I couldn't believe you were saying those words, talking about your life in such an open way. And I don't know exactly what this person meant, but it sticks in my head. And they said, we felt embarrassed for you. But he was saying it with
Really?
a smile on his face. It wasn't a bad thing. I
Right.
think what he meant was, I felt like, oh my God, she's actually saying this. I felt that for you on your behalf.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and he said this, it was amazing and
He
he
was
loved it.
empathizing with you.
he was empathizing. Yeah. And I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't feel embarrassed at all. I have no shame. So I get this feedback all the time from people. I've had people tell me just little things that matter so much. Like someone told me the other day, I started your TEDx talk and I had this meeting to go to, and I had to delay the meeting because I couldn't stop watching your TEDx talk. And I was like, that is so cool.
Isn't
I
it?
love hearing little things like that.
Yeah, for real.
And but then on the other hand, I got some really strange feedback from people from my past life, which
Mhm.
is sometimes the case for us because I feel like we grow up with people, and some people can't accept it when you change a lot, change
Mhm.
radically, and break away. So I had
Mhm.
people from my past life reach out to me and say that, like, oh, you must be very disturbed, or I wish I could help you, or I don't know. It was bizarre. Just bizarre feedback that I didn't know what to do with. And I was like, I'm good, thank you for checking in, I'm all right.
And that it's crazy. It's usually people that are closest to us or have known us for the longest who are sometimes the most clueless about us. Right?
That's
Like it doesn't
ironic, right?
right, it is. I mean, it doesn't mean that you were in a bad place or that you were, needing help or you had hit rock bottom. Maybe you had, but you had to do these things.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you had to do them for you. It wasn't like it was something that you had to go through just by your, you know what I mean? Am I making sense?
Yeah. So
Okay.
much of that is also because of the background I'm from, right? I'm from a conservative country. I'm brown. I'm Asian. I'm from a place where people don't break away from the
Mm-hmm.
traditions because it's just either they really agree with them, which is great, more power to you if you really believe in the traditions that you're following, or it's just so much easier. It's so much
Right.
easier and less painful to just follow through. It doesn't hurt your life. Sure, maybe you never get to a point where you really examine whether it is that you're doing something because you believe in it or that you're just doing it because that's the way it should be. So if you're not there, it's very hard to see the other side. And it's very hard to identify with someone who's on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so a lot of it definitely comes from my Asian background, which
Mm-hmm.
for so this has been a journey for me. You were asking about my Frenchness. It's
Yes.
my identity has been a journey for me. I can tell you very clearly that I don't identify as being just Pakistani. That is not me. I also am not just French. I I'm somewhere where I don't necessarily need to align myself with one particular set of beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
I choose from different belief systems or different nationalities, different cultures, and I see what fits me as a person, which I've seen a lot of people do now. And I feel like now it's becoming more and more common, which is great. And that is also why I hate the question, where are you from?
Yeah.
Because I feel like that is so reductive. It's so minimizing. Like, let me
Yeah.
put you in a box. Where are you from? Let me
Mm-hmm.
see what culture you belong to. Well, I don't belong to a specific culture.
Right. You're Pakistani who thinks she's American, lives in China, but's really French.
Right? Yeah, that is
So did you really
accurate.
become so you really became a French citizen?
I really became a French citizen. Je
That's
suis
awesome.
française.
I love it. I love it. French is like my probably my all-time favorite uh language to listen to people speak. I've
Really?
always since I was a kid, like it always I love the accent. I love the way it just sounds
Hmm.
rolling off the tongue.
Hmm.
To me it's really cool.
Yeah, it's one of those languages I think that do get very romanticized, that people do, and French culture as well. The whole wine and cheese and romance and music. I was just watching Emily in Paris, so very, Americanized view of France and French culture. And that's
Yeah.
great. It's good. It's France exports its culture and ideology, and it
Yeah.
works out well.
So Julie had a good question, especially this is like true, like especially for, I guess it's the baseline for small talk anywhere. It is from the South anyway, where we're from. Kind of, she always looked at it as where you from as the baseline for small talk. What would you suggest instead?
Oh, thank you so much for asking that. And I know that when people ask where you're from, they're not necessarily coming from a place of malintent. They don't want to
Right.
hurt you. It's a normal question for a lot of people. But and it could also be received in a perfectly normal way by people that don't have mixed identities. But now you do
Mm-hmm.
have more and more people with hyphenated identities, with not like very clear associations with where they were born, for example, or
Mm-hmm.
even where they grew up. So maybe just break it down. If you're curious, you could just ask, where did you grow up? It's a more denotative question versus a connotative question, if that makes sense. It doesn't really ask what the person associates themselves with,
Mm-hmm.
but where they grew up. So that's one specific answer that you're going to get. But again, you have to keep in mind that if it's someone with a mixed identity, they might no longer identify with the place they grew up in. So if you
Mm-hmm.
really want to ask them about their identity, then another question to ask could be, what do you associate yourself with? Where do
Right.
you belong? What do you call home? That's the question that I've heard as well from a lot of people like me. They prefer to be asked, where do you call home? And that really opens the door, right? It's more the signal that you're sending by asking that question is,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to put you in a box. I want to meet you where you are. And I'm interested
Mm-hmm.
in knowing what you're actually associating yourself with. And if you were to ask me what I call home, that would open up this great response. I would say that actually I don't have a home right now, but I identify as being French Pakistani and a little bit of American at heart. And that's such a more interesting response, I think.
Yeah, because then that really does open up more of a conversation starter, I think, than to say, I'm from Jacksonville, Texas. Nope, you've never heard of it. It's a small
Mm.
town. I don't know what to tell you. I
Yeah,
like it.
that's
All
true.
right, so real quick, because we
My
are
family lives in Texas, by the way. My
really
biological family. I'm
no
adopted,
kidding.
so
Okay,
I didn't grow up with them, and they're of course brown like me. But they've been living in Texas for like 22 years. They're
okay,
American now,
yeah,
naturalized, and they live in Plano. I don't know how close or far that is from
2
you.
hours.
It's near Houston.
No,
Okay,
Plano's near Dallas.
no, sorry, it's near Dallas. Psh,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
clearly my Texas geography needs some work, but
yeah. That's Plano's 2 hours north of me. Not far at all.
yeah. So that's where they are.
Very cool. I love that. All right, so real
Mhm.
quick, because we're getting really short on time. Let's talk about your email list, your website, and the cool things you have coming up. And you say something about like a boot camp coming up?
Yeah, thanks. So, first, I have this great newsletter, if I do say so myself. It goes out every Saturday, and I share a lot of actionable frameworks that you can follow for speaking better. So, it covers speaking on video, it covers speaking on a stage, and it just covers speaking in general. So subscribe, it's totally free. And I also put up a free guide to never fear the camera again as a freebie. So you get that as soon as you sign up. So that's on speakasaleader.com. And yes, I did my first boot camp last November, and it was amazing. It was I didn't even know what to expect, but it was 4 weeks that I spent with these five amazing people. One of them is actually in the event. I don't know if she's still around, but Angel, she was in the event earlier. She was one of the people in the
Mm-hmm.
boot camp, where the idea was to take a small group of people that really want to invest in speaking better and take them from a point where they might be okay or average when they show up on camera or on stage to a point where they can show up with more confidence, make more impact, and be the most powerful and convincing version of themselves when they speak. And
Mm-hmm.
in the 4 sessions where we meet for the boot camp, we cover the basics of strong speaking skills. So we cover all the things really: gestures and voice modulation and expressions and body language. But more than that, we really dive into what is confidence, what is speaking with confidence feel like, sound like, how can you do it? So really diving deep into the mindset piece of it. And the 4 sessions pass really quickly, but they're super productive. And yeah, we got last time it was really a super multicultural bunch. We had people from the US, but also from Australia, from Bangladesh, and from Hong Kong. So I'm doing this again in the last week of February. And I'm going to be announcing it on my LinkedIn, but I wanted to talk about it here since I was here
Yeah.
as well. So it's always going to be small because people will get a chance to speak in every single session and get feedback from the audience, of course, and also from me, from their
Mm-hmm.
fellow participants, and from me. And we do a lot of speaking and creating videos in between the sessions as well. It's very exciting. It's a lot of fun.
That sounds amazing.
Thank you. So
I'm going
if
to be
anyone's
looking for
interested, you can just message me.
yeah, I love that. Sorry, I'm trying to do two things at once.
That's what
It's
doing
so
a live
weird.
event is all about.
That's what self-producing a live event is all about.
Yes. Yeah.
So many moving pieces. Um, last week of February. All right, I'm gonna be watching for that because that sounds interesting. That sounds like something I might be interested in.
Ooh, cool.
Daniel Hall,
Awesome.
thank you.
Yeah, I'm just working
That
on.
is. Sorry, let me answer him real quick. That is in the
Yes.
store right now. Hitproductions.live. Go get you one. All right. Sorry. Go ahead.
That's something that Mavens of Merch created for you, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. They did this design. They
Awesome.
did the I'm
Big
single,
shout
say
out to
hi.
Zainab.
Yeah, I love her, man. She's so awesome.
She's awesome.
Her and Dana both are just amazing. They did
Yeah.
this design, the design on my shirt, and the logo in that corner over there. So, yep. Thank you,
Very
Sheree,
cool.
for dropping that in the comments over there on
Thank you, Sheree.
Nausheen's page. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been a great conversation, Nausheen. I appreciate you coming and hanging out with me. This has been an absolute blast.
Chris, it was so great talking to you. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, you'd think you speak for a living.
Thank you. I wanted to also mention this earlier that for those of you who don't know, Chris actually helped me with my first live event. And this is something I'll always remember because you were so kind to me, Chris. I remember I reached out to you and you were one of the first people I discovered on the platform through your live events. And
Really?
because
Mission
you were
accomplished.
just you were doing all these great live events. And like, of course, I'm always interested in new opportunities to speak and new ways to speak on any medium. And I hadn't never done a LinkedIn live. I had done live events on other platforms before, but never a LinkedIn live. And I kind of understood that it was going to be complicated. So I reached out to you. And I think at the outset, I was like, I can afford you, but I just, could you give me some help? And you helped me out. And it was amazing. You gave me the right pointers. You helped me. I started up at the time, I think. And it was great. You helped me through it. So thank you so much.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. And that's like, I'm not trying to sound like I'm tooting my own horn, but I get on a lot of calls with people that just have questions about how to tweak a couple little things. Like they can do it. They just need a couple of tips. And I like doing that because I love to see people live streaming, but I'm also a firm believer in it's going to come back to me. You know what I mean? Like it's not gonna, it's going to come back around, and it takes guts to ask a complete stranger Can you please help me? So that was big. That was big guts on your part to do that.
Thanks.
I
Well,
love it though. I
if you
love it.
don't ask, then you don't know.
Yeah, exactly. A closed mouth does
Yeah.
not get fed for sure. All right,
Mhm.
y'all. Who do I have next week? I should have had my calendar pulled up already, and I don't. Where's my calendar? There it is. Next week.
I also want to say thank you,
Nope.
everyone, for all the kind comments. Because I was kind of focusing on Chris, I didn't get a chance to focus on all you guys, but I will go through them after the event, and I'll respond if you guys have specific questions. So thank you
Yeah,
for being there.
yeah, absolutely. Y'all, thank y'all for showing up. It's the comments that make it. If y'all didn't show up and comment, this would be, I mean, the conversation would still be fun, but the comments are what
It makes
makes
it
it like
better.
popping. Yeah, for sure. Next week
Yeah.
I have Carrie Barrett. Wrong Carrie. I have a call with that Carrie. Carrie Barrett. Yep. Two Carrie. I have a call with Carrie at 5:30 and a show with another Carrie at 7. Carrie Barrett. Carrie is an Emmy award winning news anchor who now does video coaching too. She does it on a little bit different scale, I think. It's been a long time since I've talked to her. I need to kind of touch base with her. But she used to be on like major markets in New York and stuff like that. So she's super laid back, super comfortable on camera, and teaches you how to show up confidently. I didn't realize when I booked y'all that I booked 2 coaches that did kind of the same thing back to back weeks. I wasn't even
And that's
trying
okay
to
because
do that.
everyone brings their own flavor to
They
the
do.
coaching, right? And they bring
Yeah,
their
like
own experiences.
Sri and I were
Yeah.
talking about that whenever she was a guest because she does video stuff. She had just started, I think, getting into producing live streams when she was a guest on the
Mhm.
show. And she said people ask her all the time, like, how do you bring people on the show that do the same thing you do? Like your competition, basically. And I don't really look at it as competition because there's enough to go around.
No.
But it's great to
Yeah.
have people that are in the same field. It's great marketing for one, because you can sit there and talk about trends in the market or struggles you're seeing your clients face or whatever. And we're just there to support each other. I want to see her succeed just as much
Absolutely.
as she wants to see me succeed.
Oh
And
yeah.
I will
There's
refer
so much
somebody
power
to
in it.
her in a heartbeat. Yeah,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure.
There's so much
All right,
power in collaboration versus competition.
for real. You just build a whole lot better relationship that way, because if you're not
Yeah.
collaborating, then if I can't fulfill a client's needs because I still work a full-time job, I'm doing this on the side. If I don't have a good relationship with somebody, I wouldn't feel comfortable referring them to anyone, but I would feel comfortable referring them to Sri or Tim Sohn or Gabe when he was doing it or whatever. So yep.
Yeah.
All right, y'all, we got to go. We're 10 minutes over time, but I love it because it's been an
yay.
awesome conversation, Nausheen. Thank you so much for being here, and we will see y'all next week at the exact same time. Bye, y'all.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks, everyone.